Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Tanya Talks. I am your host, Tanya Ricketts, and I'm joined today with our guest, Tamara Goslin. Welcome, Tamara.
Hello, hello, welcome. I'm
Thank you for
excited to
being
be
here.
here.
Yes, it's going to be a nice one. We are going to be having a wonderful conversation, one that is, I think, challenging for most of us, and we're going to be discussing about forgiveness. And I know that we've talked offline on what it really means to set ourselves free through the forgiveness process. So I am looking forward to a very healing conversation, is what I'm going to call it, a very breathtaking, breathing moment tonight, a little bit different than the high charge that I'm used to. So embracing it. So Tamara, share with us and our audience this evening what it really means for you, or your forgiveness process happened, and how you set yourself free, or at least in whatever area of your life.
Yeah. Well, there's many parts of I'm still learning to forgive. So the one I'm focusing on that I feel very successful with is many years ago, I had a person that I was very connected with, very close with, a prominent part in my life, while I was going through a very pivotal part of my life, betrayed me. There was a lot of hurt, unexpected, and it was really tough. It affected me and relationships around me, my perception out in the community, on where I lived, on people that knew the relationship between me and this person, chitter chatter going around. And it changed me almost. It was devastating for me. And I was the type of person to hold grudges like teddy bears, you know, back in that time, right? Back in that time, as you know, as I have grown, I look back and there's still some things, like I said, that I still have to work on with other relationships. But this one myself, I feel so successful on coming through this journey that has taken many decades to get
Right,
past.
right. I like the way that you put the grudges, because it's I don't, I identify with the word grudge, because we can hold on to it for so long. And I think it's one of those things, and I can only speak for myself, that we feel that the person that hurt us, or that did whatever they did, that they got away with it. If we forgive them, it's almost like, I let you get away with it, and I can't do that, so I have to hang on to it.
Right. You're winning, I'm not. That's not going to happen.
Right.
And it eats you up. Like,
Yeah.
every step during when this was first evolving, it was just like another slap in my face. You win with that. You win with that. You're getting your way. You're hurting me.
Yes.
Mm.
It's not
And
going to happen.
exactly, right. And I refuse for it to happen. And I try to hurt back.
Mm-hmm.
Um, many years went by, and the feeling that you carry with that in your heart, your soul, your mind, your emotion, on your face physically, it's devastating. And it did cause a lot of tears, a lot of angst, a lot of anxiety. It built that in me. But then when you realize that how heavy it is, it's like people say a cross is on your back sometimes, or you're carrying it, and
Mm-hmm.
you go through every step on it's my trophy I'm carrying. I deserve to carry this, because everybody that knows the situation knows that I'm hurt, and I'm allowed to wear it like a tattoo almost. And I wore it, and I wore it for years, and I deserved it.
Right.
But, at a certain point you come to and you say, what's holding me back? What's making me feel like this? You grow as a person,
Mm-hmm.
and you feel the weight on your heart. You feel the weight that's, the negativity around you, or things you're missing out on. I missed out on opportunities
Mm-hmm.
by going through this and holding on to that. I missed out on certain gatherings that were taking place, or being myself in certain places when that person was there, that I couldn't just let free and be myself and put that aside. I refused to. So I was the one suffering also.
And we give them control, that person that we don't forgive, or the situation we don't forgive, we give them our personal power. They
Right.
really have absolute control over us. And we think that they don't.
Hmm.
We think that they have control when we concede through forgiveness, but it's actually the reverse. We set ourselves free when we concede. Um, we are powerless
Yes,
when we are operating in the place of unforgiveness.
exactly. Agreed. Yeah, it was a journey. It took me a while. I look back at it now and it's like, wow, that was a lot of wasted energy.
Mhm.
Um, since I have forgiven, like it took me a little bit to realize I want to forgive. It was getting to a place that, you know, karma was stepping in so strong, was stepping in to things that and I- and I
For
look back
you,
now,
was karma coming towards you with things
no,
that
not
were doing?
towards me, but
Okay.
towards this individual. And just even to watch that. And each time that it happened, it was like, yeah, yeah, warranted,
Mhm.
deserved. And as we're going through this, then years were going by, and I'm still hearing this and hearing situations that are taking place with this person. And I'm like, no, it needs to stop. Am I doing this? Is it like, let me have words with karma and say, okay, you got to stop because I'm afraid of that person. Where's the end of this?
Mhm. I
And
remember us having an offline conversation, and what really was, I find one of the most powerful statements that I've heard in a long time, when you said it was enough. Like the person that had done you wrong,
mm,
you had watched karma show up in their life, and at that point, you were like, okay, you were praying for their safety
right.
because they feel that they've endured enough. And
Yes.
that allowed you also to be in a place where you could forgive that individual and continue your own healing process. And I thought it was very admirable for you to state about that karma. Like, okay, God, enough with her karma.
Exactly. It was
Right?
enough. It's enough. And I wasn't even aware that I was ready to forgive, but I was aware that enough is enough. Let them continue. I'm going to continue my way. Not really willing to forgive at that point, but identifying that I don't wish this upon anybody, right?
Mhm.
And as time started to pass and I started to feel that I don't want to carry this, I want that to stop for them. We can go our own separate ways. But the key thing that I would like anybody to take away from this conversation is forgiving isn't necessarily saying sorry and then being their best friend again and ever like wipe out all the past. Forgiving, what I've learned through this process is forgiving yourself
Oh, yes. Yeah.
to forgive them, to take this burden off of you,
Mhm.
and also be able to have that name brought up or be in that situation with that person or see that person in a different light. In my experience, I now have the opportunity to be around that person without any angst, without
Mhm.
any ill will, without any anxiety come up. I actually look forward to seeing that person. And that's a whole, I didn't anticipate that,
Mhm.
but I'm grateful for that to turn around like that. But I know that there's other times that through the healing and the forgiveness that you don't have to be their friend, be in their life anymore. But when I said that's enough for me and I wanted to reconnect and I wanted to literally take that feeling away off of me and out of the universe, out of the karma, out of everything and start fresh, I am telling you, that is a feeling that you can never duplicate, try to do, or like, unless it's organic, like you can't fake
Well,
that.
I can even feel you breathe in that moment. Like, you just,
Just take it in. It feels great. It's such, it literally lifts off your shoulders.
Yes.
And it gives me more capacity to do different things, put my mind and my energies into things that I love, into not, I wonder what's going on with them. Oh, they're over there. Like all this
Well,
unnecessary.
you're releasing the power that they have over you from
Yes,
an event. It takes you out of that past experience, and it
mm,
allows you to live in the present moment without that
exactly.
memory of emotion you're so connected to it, like if it was yesterday.
Exactly.
Mhm.
It's gone. I don't look back at the past that often. I don't really, I don't look back. I look at the future. Um, I look at where I'm at, like you said, in the present when I'm around that person or the name comes up, or it's nothing from where I've been in. I'm talking decades,
Right.
and how empowering it feels to me, how light it feels. I put that energy in so many different things, like really with the other relationships that were weak during this time because of the situation, or and I didn't really I missed out on a few years of I could have built these other relationships that stemmed off of this R2, um and the relationships that I have now that are related to this, they're beautiful, they're empowering, they're great. Like it's sad that I missed out on that for a short time, and then
Right.
now.
Right. I know that and talk to me about yourself. I know that for myself over the years of dealing with my own levels of forgiveness,
Mhm.
I know that I had had those feelings where it was no longer about forgiving them. It was
Right.
now about forgiving myself. It was about
Mhm.
forgiving me for not knowing how to take care of myself in those moments. I didn't know
Exactly.
anything about boundaries. I didn't know anything about teaching people how to treat me. I didn't know how to speak up for myself. I didn't know how to be my own advocate.
Right.
And I allowed situations to happen repeatedly by different characters,
Mhm.
and it built up a lot of resentment and anger. And I just couldn't figure out. I played the victim for so long. Like, why me?
Yeah.
Why is this always happening? And I'm very grateful for doing the spiritual, deep inner work, the self development, personal development work,
Yeah.
because what I learned through that was I had to come to a moment of learning how to forgive me for
Yes.
not knowing how to take care of me in those moments.
That's right. That's exactly right. And that's what I was saying is that just, yeah, you have to find space in your heart to forgive yourself
Mhm.
for holding on to something so long that is damaging to yourself.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
when you decide to love yourself and release that, I'm telling you, things change,
Well,
feels
you make
good.
space, right? Like, it's like
Yeah.
all of a sudden, this unforgiveness is taking up residency in your mind, your heart, your body, everything, even physically. Like, when you think about,
Yeah.
having sicknesses that develop within our system, we're holding on to this emotion with such intensity that it's
Yeah.
literally damaging our physical bodies. And
Exactly.
it's a mind-blowing thing. And when I started to understand, and I've been declaring to myself for years, like, I love myself way too much to allow something like this to take over like this. I want to be
Yeah.
healthy. And it was like all of a sudden when I turned it to the opportunity to love myself, it was like, yeah, you know what? I can let go of this.
Exactly. And how
Mhm.
did you feel? Like, I mean, the reward that you give yourself for something like this
Yes,
is
it's you.
it's great. And part of the problem with the process to even start to let go was also the society around you. People that knew me was like, you deserve that. Like I said, like it's like a trophy. I was rewarded from others or accepted by others that knew the situation. That yeah, you don't let anybody do that to you. That was wrong. And you feel like if I forgive this person, what will other people think? It's almost
Mhm.
embarrassing. Like I've held this so strong for so long. This is who I became. And now you're going to forgive? What do other people think that you've got weak, you softened? What caused that? Instead of where I know I've came from, but that was still part of it, is explaining to others, or I feel justified sometimes when I'm like, oh yeah, I talked to so and so, whatever. Really? Why? How? And I'm like, then I started to explain to them, and I have the opportunity, anyways, to explain to them on where I came from, what I've gotten from it, how it feels. And it was too tiring, too
Mhm.
tiring to deal with all. I have how many other things in my life that I have to deal with on a daily.
Yes.
To hold that burden wasn't worth
Was
it,
it
but
worth
I
it?
was at certain points embarrassed or bothered that I'm going to have to justify to other people in my life that I've let that go.
Mhm.
And it shouldn't be like that. It should not be that to have to explain on why you forgave somebody. It should be you know, instigated. It should be, yes, you did. That's really good. Tell me the story. Tell me what happened. It's like instead of the reaction on why, what caused that? Why
I think
would
there should be celebration parties on forgiveness. When you
hey,
watch somebody else forgive, I feel that we should all be out with pom poms cheering each other on, because
absolutely.
the forgiveness process, we hear it over and over again, like it's a cliche, like, oh, it's for you, but it really is for you
Yes. It's
to
not a
feel
cliche.
that
Yeah.
you are taking back your own personal power and not letting somebody control your thoughts, your narrative, your story, your life.
Yes.
They don't have that kind of power over you.
Yeah.
Um, I know that this is a topic that comes up a lot with people in
Yeah.
forgiveness,
Hmm.
and this is when we see, when somebody has done something for us, and we talk about karma,
Yeah.
and we actually seen karma play out in their life.
Hmm.
If there's anybody watching out there and listening to our conversation, everybody has had that one little experience where they're celebrating that victory on the inside as they're
Right.
watching karma. And we're so afraid to feel that as an emotion as a human being, because we're so afraid for it to be reflected back to.
Exactly. Hmm.
And I say to everybody that you didn't create their karma.
Right.
They created their karma. You just happen to be able to witness what
Yes.
karma does.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a difference between having a moment of victory where the universe says to anybody, karma can be good or bad.
Yeah. It's
That
true.
whatever you put out there comes back. You bear
Hmm.
witness to the truth of the universe, the truth of God that says everything is accounted for. I think the danger in it is when you gloat in it. But
Yes.
for that split second of God showing you that karma exists, good or bad,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that little bit of sigh of relief.
Right. It's like almost just desserts. But even when things were going through with this person and I did see the karma coming, I didn't celebrate. I felt it was deserved. I
Mhm,
justified it.
mhm,
I let it I didn't stop it by any means. Hey, you did to me, you get it other ways, right?
mhm,
Until later on as I grew as a person, I feel too. And I seen it repeatedly happening and happening. It was like, no, karma, like I said, let's have a conversation. We got to stop this. It's not
mhm,
fair. I do not wish ill will on anybody.
mhm.
As the journey was happening, yeah, like I said, I didn't stop it, or I did kind of, it feels guilty even saying it out loud. But I did feel guilty on, that happened. That's just desserts. But I look back, and if I could take that away, I would, in my mindset today.
Mhm,
I would take it back. Nobody deserves any ill will or, wishing that upon.
mhm,
Um, Look out, and as we've been raised, or as publicly I can say without feeling bad, that you wish the best for people. You don't wish the worst.
mhm, mhm,
But when you're in such a dark place or a mindset, that's the energy that I'm talking about, that is wasted. It's wasted on absorbing that, or justifying that, or being okay with somebody else being hurt in whichever way.
mhm.
And coming away from that and leaning into how we see things now and healing from it. Like, again, you have to take a deep breath. Like it's in my body, just does it. Just thinking about how relieved I feel for that person, myself, and the time that I give back to myself for it, you know?
Right, right.
That's
And I have to say that in my more immature years,
mhm.
um, I actually admit that it felt good when I saw karma going back to the individual. I really, for anybody watching that says, "Well, that's not me," that I can't. In my again more immature years, I really did, because I really was like, I wanted justice. Like I felt so fairly untreated, or I was wronged, or
Right.
whatever it was, and for wherever I was at. And as you say, like in your heart, the truth of it is we don't wish bad on people.
Exactly.
We just, we're in, and you said it right there, we're in so much pain and we're in this place. And when I started to understand about coming to terms with what people do and from the place they do it from,
Yeah.
it became easier. I think what it provided an opportunity with from the forgiveness process was understanding what I personally, it was showing me that I required healing in whatever area of my life that it was.
Right.
And it allowed me to take personal responsibility for
Mhm.
how my reality was being created in front of me through the characters that were showing up in my
That's
life.
right.
So it was no longer about learning how to forgive the other person versus it was learning about what in me was still causing me to create this as part of my reality, what in me had to heal.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and
And
that was crazy.
right, to self-reflect is a scary place sometimes
Yes.
too, right? But yeah, like you said, it's taking that time to reflect and just say, I don't want to be here anymore. Like the epiphany when it comes to you that, and literally for me, it felt like still remember when it was coming about and I was challenging myself, like, no, like I'm fine with it, but almost shaking off. But I remember feeling like internally, like I just don't want to feel like this anymore. And I don't want them to feel like this anymore. I want to go forward with
Mhm.
life with that behind me. And I think it was a part of, now that you've identified it, I was healing. Like I feel that I'm healed from that
Mhm. You sound it like I know we've had
process.
a long conversation, so I know that
Right.
I'm into breathing in the whole bit, and you
Yes.
breathe so differently, right? Like you could
Yeah.
hear it, but it's just there, right?
It's there, and I would never go back. It's just, yeah, I healed from the where that stemmed from. I
Mhm.
can look back at those moments and I don't feel the angst is so far behind me, and I'm okay and I'm looking forward, and
Mhm.
be able to have that freedom to do that and not let that monkey on your back anymore. Even thinking back before I was at this point, just thinking back would put me in a tailspin
Mhm.
when it was raw still,
Mhm.
and put me in a tailspin that I don't want to be in. And I look back at that now and I'm like, wow, I wasted a lot of energy in that. And it put me in places, like I had children then and stuff, and it would still put me in places of anger and around them with they had nothing to do with it. And just
Mhm.
people around people. If I thought about what was hurting me, it was terrible. And
Mhm.
now I can seriously go back and look at it and I feel nothing. I feel okay. But the
Mhm.
future is where I get excited. The back, it's numb, like it's
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
So that's pretty, now I just was thinking about that today. Thank you for this call. Um, but yeah, that's again another eye opener. Like I don't even worry about the past anymore about it.
Right, because it really does create space for you because it takes your attention. Like they say, energy goes, what you focus on is where your energy goes.
Right.
And if you're constantly focused on that, you're constantly creating the past events over and over again. And I say to people, when you're creating that past over and over again and you're feeling that level of intensity and that
Yeah.
emotion, you're not only keeping that character alive in your life,
Right.
you're also leaving the door wide open, double doors wide open
Lots more.
for you to invite more characters that are going to just replay the same events. So
Exactly.
it's just a compounding, rippling effect where you're constantly living in that perpetuating level of pain just with
Right.
other characters.
Right.
And
Keeping it
it's
alive through others, and
right.
yeah.
And it's absolutely for me when I started to realize that I was recreating this with other players and other this.
Mhm.
It was just like, okay, what am I really doing here? It's
Right.
time to move on. It's time to surrender
Yeah.
to the truth. And the truth is, it happened.
Yeah.
That's the
It
truth.
happened. It hurt. It happened. And let's move on because there's lots more things that we can focus on than that. And I
Mhm.
won't discredit it that it didn't hurt.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Not downplaying like it didn't exist. It existed, but I can look back now and replay what did hurt me, but honestly, it doesn't hurt me inside anymore. And that
Mhm.
to me is winning, especially from who I was or how I was back then to who I am now.
Mhm.
Is
I don't know. Not everybody does this. Everybody has their own level of healing
absolutely.
when it comes to forgiveness. And I
Mhm.
remember that there were individuals in my life that were close to me that I was healing, and I wanted to take responsibility to my part in it because I believe that when we're in a reality, we play a role in it.
Okay.
And I remember writing letters to set myself free by taking responsibility for my part and how I can. And that was a really hard place to be
Yeah.
in, especially when you feel like you're the victim, you've been wronged.
Entitled, right?
Yes. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that. You're entitled, right? To feel.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, it took a lot for me to be reflective to say, okay, how did I play a part?
Right.
Because I couldn't see it.
No.
And it is very hard to see.
Who wants to look at that, right? You're perfect. In my mind, I'm perfect, you know?
Right, right.
Mhm.
You shouldn't have done that.
Right.
And I remember writing letters to individuals, just taking responsibility. And as
Right.
young as my late teens, taking
Okay.
responsibility. And it's
Right.
harder to go back to your young teens and take responsibility for your part because you're innocent, you're vulnerable, you didn't ask for
Exactly.
this, you know. And I realized in that moment that the people that I was writing it to couldn't receive it.
Right.
And that hurt even more. And I didn't
Yes.
know how to move on from it. And it made me want to stay in that unforgiveness longer.
Exactly. Right.
Because it was like, I'm being vulnerable. I'm writing to you. This,
I'm telling you my raw feelings. I'm
right.
forgiving
And,
you.
and you're not reflecting that back to me to say, well, I recognize that I hurt you. And so now I'm
Yeah.
kissing you off.
Now it's a whole different hate going on, you know? Healing again. Yeah.
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 And I remember I no longer wanted it to be a part of my story.
Right.
Um, I recognize that everybody, when I realized still I was doing it from the place of a victim
Yes.
and not from the place of truly writing the letters to let go. I
To
was still
let go.
playing
Different.
that role of the
Right.
victim.
Right. And I think I was fortunate in my situation that my this person was able to receive,
Hmm.
right? It was a and I think if they weren't, it could have, as you were saying, put me through the same thing as you. Like, I'm willing to forgive you,
Hmm.
move past and look for the best. And if they didn't, that would, I don't know how I'd feel. I feel like again, you win. Do you know what I mean? Again. Never even thought about that outcome that as they did receive and we've moved past. But you play a good point for anybody that it's not about if you're going through this journey of forgiving and you feel you really truly want to forgive somebody, again, you're forgiving yourself to
Hmm.
forgive that person.
Yes.
And if you're looking for that receiving that may not happen,
Hmm.
and that's to justify your feelings, you're not ready.
Right.
You're not ready, and you need to be prepared for that rejection from the person that you're forgiving, that has
Absolutely.
given you this hate or the terrible feelings. It's not about them at that point. Don't let them do it to you twice.
Yes.
I'm willing to forgive. I don't expect anything back, but I know what I expect for myself,
Yes.
and I feel great about it. That's where forgiveness ends and starts.
Right. When you're no longer looking for that apology from the other person, you're
Yes.
no longer able to ask them to participate in the closure aspect of it
Right.
because you're now, it is something within, like it's truly a unique, personalized,
Yes.
inward process. It's an inward job, the level of forgiveness.
Exactly. And I think it's just it's your story, it's your closure. Closure does not mean, like you said, it's not about the other person anymore. It's
Mhm,
specifically and strictly about what you want for yourself out of this situation.
mhm.
Waiting for somebody else to accept that. What I don't know what would happen if it didn't. Am I going to still feel that I'm going to sit here and wait with that feeling? No, you're your own person. At the end of the day, you need to be strong enough to say, you know what, whatever happens on their end, still feel that deep breath of relief. Still give
Mhm.
yourself that gratitude on, I am moving past. They're not, I'm okay. And 100% okay. Don't, it's not, I'm going to pretend I'm okay. It's
Mhm.
100%. When you have that feeling inside, when you feel this light, no matter what their outcome is or their part in this is up to you. And you
Mhm.
need to love yourself, which we started the conversation with again, is love yourself enough to forgive and let go of that.
Mhm.
100%, truly.
Mhm.
And it's so rewarding. It's so
And
yeah.
there are people, this is very common in everybody's life, or there are people close to us that we have to forgive
Yeah.
and we still have to spend time with, and we still have to interact with.
Hmm.
And when you truly reach that place of forgiveness in your heart
Hmm.
and you still have to interact with those key players,
Right.
It was empowering for me to ask myself, without the story, without the past interfering, who would I show up being in this moment? Now,
Right.
who am I?
Hmm.
Am I the, that same, if I'm a giving person to this individual, if it's just the core essence of who you are, it doesn't matter. You will give
Hmm.
it
Right.
at the same level, equally right across the board. So forgiveness for me allowed me to show up equally with
Hmm.
everybody with the truth of who I am.
Exactly. Right. It's when you find that, when you, I guess it's time to reflect. When you're ready, you reflect.
Hmm.
Deep reflection. And it's like we said, it's hard, as you feel, well deserved, you feel justified. And when you're going to look that deep into yourself to say, am I there? You'll know it.
Right.
It's how
It's a
much do you
feeling.
want it?
Yes, yes.
Exactly. And you need to be fair to yourself to really, not every time, and not every, because I've done this has happened in my life and I'm able to forgive this one. I know I'm not an angel. People could feel the same way.
You
I don't
are,
know, but nobody's
you
stressed
are
it.
an angel. You
I
are.
am an angel. I am. But right. But I know that this journey may not happen with every situation, that I still have people that I want to forgive, myself to forgive.
Mhm,
Again, you played a good point in, what if they're not ready to receive?
mhm,
I haven't come across it. When I do, that's going to be a different story. But honestly, I know what I'm going into
mhm,
with now. You've opened my eyes in the sense that I can't anticipate this is going to happen the same way with everything.
mhm.
Be prepared and do it for myself. Whatever the outcome is on their end, I have no control about, but I know for me, when I'm ready, it's ready for me.
Mhm,
Nobody's going to take that away. Don't let that person take that away from you also.
mhm,
Be
mhm.
true to you. Whatever the future develops into that, that's fine. But yeah, be prepared for either way and know why you're doing it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Please.
I'm just going to pause here for a second because we have Angelique. So yes, do proud of you, sister. So proud of you, sister. And I have Brenda Van Rossum writing in Tamara. It is absolutely marvelous to see you stand in your power, and it is supporting and encouraging others to forgive as well. Congrats on your self journey and your self awareness. I
Wow.
agree. The benefits of unconditional forgiveness is awesome. So yeah.
Yes.
So
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for watching and for rooting
supporting
for
the
me.
journey of your
Yes,
forgiveness,
supporting my
right?
journey. Yes.
Yes,
This is
it's
awesome.
a
Thank you.
beautiful thing. And it's nice because that's what it does, is it allows us to have opportunities for people to come into our life. We create space through forgiveness. We create space for others to show up in our life and to love us in a healthy way for where we're at.
Exactly.
To revive us, I say, and to nurture us to a healthier place. We really do create space for healthier opportunities through forgiveness. And I know even for us, reconnecting after
Yeah.
many years, this is what started the process, was through the
Yes.
forgiveness. Not us, just so the audience is very clear, we didn't have anything to forgive each other with.
No,
We
no, it
just
wasn't about
had,
us.
we were the support to one another to really have
Right.
a healthy conversation about
Yes.
forgiveness.
Mhm.
And I thought we thought it was fitting that we had a conversation,
Very fitting for this platform. Yeah.
right, on forgiveness. It is because, again, the players, we've had discussions that the players closest to us, it's hard I realize it's really challenging, me being in this industry, me doing the work that I do personally and working with others.
Right.
It is a really challenging thing, I find, for individuals to really come to terms with the truth of who they are and
Yes.
how they're putting out and projecting themselves out into the world. And it's not that, I say to people, it doesn't make you a bad person when you find out that you're not projecting yourself in the healthiest way. It
Right.
just means that you weren't given the tools, or you didn't know how to project yourself in a loving way. So, but it's really challenging for people to face the truth of who they are, and to acknowledge it in order for them to move on.
Exactly. And the world's right there. Like, once you start to move on, and like you said, the capacity, the people that you bring in is, as we've been speaking our long conversations, that I've been learning on, the universe, the energy, the positive, what you put out there is what you get back. And without intention of even forgiving in this situation to get that, I see everything else coming. Again, it's the energy, like you were saying, the people that came into my life, or what I'm attracting now, is, I think, it's caused from that. And again, the capacity of everything to just align just so you see the upside coming in.
Well,
And
I'm going to tell you about that energy that I sensed with you when you said that karma piece to me, that it was, very profound, and I loved it. Because I still remember being in the car. I have a lot of conversations with everybody, and I'm always on the go. So I'll be grocery shopping and interviewing people and all the rest of that. And we're on the phone, and I'm in that parking lot, pulling right into the parking lot, and you make that statement, and I turn the car off, and I'm like, whoa, yes, I have to bring this up. Because I felt that level of freedom within your soul when you were like, okay, God, be finished with our karma. Like, I'm done. I feel like we're over this. Like, we're fine. I want to see good. Do whatever you got to do to center goodness.
Good, right?
And that genuine, authentic, pure emotion that was evoked in you through that process has now opened your entire world up to a whole other level. And it
exactly
so much more in. And I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. I mean, it's an amazing feeling, and I don't wish people had this kind of relationship or anything with people that you have to forgive like this. But if you do, the time that you come to that crossroads, or that time in your life to honestly let it go, let Tanya know, let myself know, the empowering that you feel, the openness in your heart, like it's something that you can't duplicate, and you need to have it yourself to understand. But I encourage anybody to start to self-reflect, identify do you want to feel like this? When is enough for you? And when you truly understand that and feel it, that it's genuine, nothing's going to stop it. And I'm telling you, it's worth it. So worth it. We're not here for a long time. We don't know how long we're here for, but I'm telling you, that's one thing that I don't have to worry about or put the energy in, to live every day, wake up and know that's not something I have to hold on to.
Right. And you have so much clarity because you've gotten rid of it. What you just said was, enough's enough. And it's when you get, and I remember you saying it to me, is when you get tired of hearing that story. It was like you were tired of carrying that being a part of your identity.
Yes.
And you were tired of hearing that story, and you wanted to create a new story. And you said to me, I remember you saying to me that you felt that there was so much more for you.
Yes.
So again, it's that narrative where the forgiveness process begins with us. We know that there's so much more for us, but absolutely, why are we allowing this to continue to control our lives? So, and I commend you for that, like having that realization that this was no longer a part of your life, that you didn't want to be associated with this anymore.
It's no longer who I am. It's so far past me that I don't even really look back. And when I do, it's a matter of fact. It's not who I am. I feel released from it. I know, again, like I mentioned before, it's society and the people that know the relationship, that what happened is more, I think, shocked on you. Do what? You talk to who? Why? How did that happen? Really, it's not a story that I feel justified that I have to tell on why that happened. It's the fact that it happened, and how I feel, and how that other person feels, and how we're moving forward. And all of the other people around me that it affected, they don't have to carry my burden anymore, or hear me, or be aware on eggshells on tomorrow, you don't know where she's going to go, right?
I like
everybody's at ease with this. Everybody's at ease, right?
She's all right. She's all right.
So, it feels good. And I feel good giving that to them too. Honestly, the other people involved, that they don't have to cringe or worry or have that negative conversation either.
Yes.
Really, it's osmosis. It happens, it diffuses through so many people, and you're not even aware of how it affects other people through your mind, your mindset, what you have in there, and you hold that strong, it shows. And really at the time, I didn't care if it showed, it should show, right?
Mhm.
And then now it's almost like people are like shocked or, and I feel great. I feel great. Absolutely. And I wish this upon anybody that has this feeling to let it go and feel what I felt in this journey.
So what would you say would be a characteristics? Like how would somebody identify knowing that they really are in a true, like some people said, yeah, I forgive the person, but really they have not.
Right.
How can someone identify with that they are in a true place of forgiveness? Would you say? Do you think you can identify with that?
I feel that if you can honestly look back at what caused this hurt in the first place, and you look back without feeling that heavy black place in your heart, without replaying those negative, like even if you replay the memory, you know what happened, but
Mhm,
without emotion tied with it, I think it's separating yourself from those emotions. You
mhm,
know that you truly have forgiven because you're so far in the present and future now, and that was in the
mhm,
past.
mhm.
Separate yourself from that. When you can stop having entertaining other people, discussing that person
Yes.
as feeding you that, because that's what happens when other people know, they feed you that. They feed you, oh yeah, don't you feel like that? Oh, they deserve, did you hear about that? They feed it to you. When you stop being fed or stop yearning for that food because you don't really want to deal with it anymore and
I
you
like
don't
that. Stop
care,
that food, right? It's feeding it.
right?
Yes.
When that's done, and you can now deflect those kind of energies around you because of that, you're not that people think you're still that person
Hmm.
and you're still there. And when you can honestly say to whoever, I'm not there, I don't care, and I don't want that, I don't want to have this conversation. And it's not like you're running from the conversation because, oh, I just don't want to talk about it. You're standing tall on what you feel and what you're
Mm.
owning and where you came from to where you are now. You know that you've forgiven it. It's done. It's so done. And it honestly, you will feel the energy come flow up and down you in the, well, mine anyways, is the middle of my chest, up and down, free, no butterflies, feeling good, feeling positive, and I feel no ill will,
Right, right, right.
right? None.
I like the way you put all that. It's like, and what comes to mind as you're saying that is basically you've come to peace with
Absolutely.
the entire situation. It's like
Yes.
I've come to peace with my past
Hmm.
and I release it because
Yeah.
I can release it now. So you can show up in front of anybody and say, it's just, you can show up in a place of love.
Yes. Truly.
Mhm,
Truly. And again, my story allowed me to still be in the relationship with this person at this time.
mhm.
Now, what's playing back to further in the conversation, previous in the conversation, is being rejected of receiving that. Even if you're rejected, I'm preparing myself for other forgiveness situations in my life, and I need to be prepared for the rejection. But if I could still feel like that, like I said, you separate your emotions, you're no longer playing that game of being fed that negativity or replaying those that you hurt me. Once you know you can do that, you still are winning within yourself,
Mhm.
hands down. And I and i look forward to the challenge, yet
Mhm.
the space also, right?
Right, right, right. The opportunity for the next level of growth. Because I
Absolutely.
like the way that you put food, because what human beings have to realize is from a physical perspective and a
Mhm.
scientific perspective, when our bodies are playing, so we play this tape over and over again, and
Yeah,
we feel this emotion to such intensity, it sends the signals to the brain. I say this analogy all the time. Our
yeah,
brain releases the chemical, and it now becomes a fix. It becomes a
exactly.
drug within our system. So our body
Mhm.
is constantly looking for this chemical addiction, this feeling
Mhm.
to be evoked within our body so that it can send the signals to the brain and we can
Yeah,
get this rush.
exactly.
And when you wake up to that, if you remove the event, but now attach yourself just to the emotion and what it's doing to your physical body, all of a sudden you're like, I don't need that fix anymore. I get what it's doing. And when it starts to show up, you identify it so quickly, you're like, I get it. Okay,
I
my
know.
body
I
needs a fix.
Yeah, I'm on it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Identifying it, being aware of it.
Yeah.
And I think that was part of it, just being aware of that. I wasn't really happy with holding this grudge. Not
Hmm.
there anymore.
It's big.
right? When you're not happy with being yourself and having something that you've held on to for so long, and you really look at it and say, not me anymore, walk
Mm-hmm.
away from it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is your key to lean into that moment when you find that and proceed forward, see what happens. It's not going to hurt you
You
to
had
forgive.
said to me in our offline conversation that your whole face disposition had changed
Pardon,
when
what was that?
your face disposition, like our face, we have,
Yes.
my daughter calls it your landing face. So when
Yes.
we're holding on to this unforgiveness, our landing face is bitter.
I don't even know what it looks like until I look in the mirror sometimes, or people say, "What's wrong? You good?" I don't even realize I'm holding it.
Right, right. We're
Right?
holding. And all of a sudden you let go and you're just
Yeah.
like, you don't even realize, like, at least for me, I'm only going to speak for myself. I remember actually when my kids were like, "You're creeping me out." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Why?" And they're like, "Because you're smiling."
What is that? You know?
What do you mean
Yeah.
I'm creeping you out? They're like, "Well, you're smiling." And I'm like, "Well,
Right.
I'm happy." "Oh, we're not used to seeing you like that." It was because
Right.
of the years of hanging on, my
It's true.
kids had identified with my landing face being this angry.
Yeah.
"Ugh."
Yeah. No, it's true. I've had it for how many years? Actually, I haven't had it in the last few, so that's good. But people coming up to me and saying, "What's wrong? Why do you got to look like that? Why is your face like that?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because subconsciously you're holding that tension,
Yes.
whether you're talking about it or not, or it's fresh or it's not. You're literally holding it, and it brings you down. Like everything, it's just heavy.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I let that go. I'm living my best life. You know,
Yay.
wake up every day with gratitudes and feeling great. And I think, like you said before, like when you let go of certain things like that, it brings in other people. We haven't had a chance to really sit down and had conversations the way that we've had lately. And I think it's because, opening up your mind to new things, finding things that make you happy for whatever reasons, opportunities are there and they will come about because of the mindset you're in, because of the space you're in. Things will just happen. And I
Mhm.
truly believe that. And that's something, it was just a call to a text to a call to a new relationship, and be able to express myself to you, sharing stories back and forth that we can relate to, and understanding that I thought I was alone with this whole feeling, with this forgiveness, this healing. You don't realize how many people should be going through, not should, but will be going through it once they find that,
Mhm.
have gone through it, not even aware, haven't had the conversation. It's not a normal open conversation. Guess what? I just forgave somebody truly, and high five. It's not, it's something very private.
Yes.
Yes, with my spouse, um, I was excited to tell him and to explain how I feel to my kids I have, to my sisters I have. But outside of that, I haven't really had an open conversation besides with you on, yeah, I'm there. Here I am, I'm not there anymore. And it just came out authentic,
Mhm.
comfortable, not by intention. But you're the first person that I really shared that whole story when we were speaking about, yeah, I'm past that.
Thank you. I feel honored. I feel really, truly, genuinely honored.
Yeah, it was
Thank you
great.
for trusting me.
Yes. Yes. And that's
Yeah.
what you bring with people. Yeah, I know. I've been on those conversations with you.
It is, it is truly, and that's why I say I would like to see around the world us have forgiveness celebration parties, because I think it's important that we support one another through the process of forgiveness. Forgiveness, I know in this conversation we're making it sound easy and
Yeah,
glamorous, and it is not easy. It
not.
is not glamorous.
No.
It is, you are letting a piece of that part of you that kept you safe through the forgiveness process
Absolutely.
go. And that means you have to stand in a whole new space within yourself, in
Right.
the world.
Yeah.
And that's scary and it's uncomfortable and it's all the unknown. Like, at least when you were in the forgiveness place, it was familiar, it
Yeah.
was predictable.
Yes.
When you
You
move
know
out
that.
of that space, it's not predictable, it's not familiar, because you're not used to it,
Right.
and you don't
It was
even know that
uncomfortable.
it absolutely, it really truly is. So certainly I'm not looking to sensationalize it or glamorize the forgiveness process.
Hmm.
However, it is liberating.
It's
It is.
amazing. Yes.
Look at
So
your
just
face.
to add to that, like I shed a lot of tears being in that other place. A lot of tears, a lot of anger, like I mentioned, but how comfortable I felt there for so long.
Mhm.
It was uncomfortable. It was like, am I really, why am I feeling like that? Like, but it outweighed, so
Mhm.
outweighed. And that's another reason why you'll find out for yourself when it outweighs that, am I here? And the amount of tears that I'm not shedding, or that angst that I don't have, or that play, it's absolutely amazing.
Yes, absolutely. I
Yes.
have to. I have Brenda writing in here, hurting people hurt each other. Forgiveness is a gift and permission. Give myself to love my, I give myself to love my authentic self. And
Well
it's
said.
absolutely well said.
Well
Like we
said.
should tweet that.
Yes.
We should
Yes.
tweet that.
Quote unquote.
Right, absolutely. And it's true, like it's the gift that we give ourselves, to give myself love, to love my, it's a space to love your authentic self. I
Yeah.
really, really appreciate that comment. Um, because it's true, we just create space to love our accent. It allows, that's why I said, like, we should get to show up the truth of who we are. This is who I would be had I not been so guarded with
Hmm.
trying to protect myself from not getting hurt again the way I was before,
Right.
or get somebody to do. And it's like we miss out again on all these opportunities. I almost think that we should go and get ourselves a little gift.
Yeah, I think I should. I should.
Right,
I'm winning. Okay.
right. Shopping therapy.
You know,
Right.
shopping spree don't hurt no one. Yeah. It's your own self reward. Like you, honestly, I know we're joking about the gift, but the fact is that you're not even aware that it's warranted.
Mhm,
When
mhm.
you speak about it, you say, "Yeah, I got past that. I love myself enough to not," and you identify that. That's a gift enough. To me,
It is.
it's just, yeah. I don't really need to go buy nothing. I
Yeah.
got it myself.
Right.
I did it myself. So yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what is, like, if somebody wanted to, if we could give the audience a tip on how they could start their forgiveness process, what would you say would be something you would recommend? And I know there's many different things that we can do. What do you feel is
I
somebody?
think um if you have somebody close to you and you're feeling and you're reflecting, reflect with somebody else. Is reflect with somebody that empowers you anyways.
Mhm.
Have that dialogue. Again, it's a personal conversation with yourself that you're already having. Share that with somebody that supports you, that's non-biased, that's not always rah rah, you deserve this, but yes, be open-minded. And I'm
Mhm.
telling you, take a little bit of this conversation, and if you're thinking and getting ready to forgive somebody, remember it outweighs the holding the feelings than to empower yourself to let go of them once you release them. I'm telling you, experience it once and you'll understand what I'm saying, that you won't look back.
Mhm.
And you'll look for other things to relieve that out of you also, to release, and everybody can learn from it. Be
Mhm.
that leader. Once you
Mhm.
find it, don't be afraid of it.
Mhm.
Lean into it, show up for it, and then show other people, the younger people, your kids, your friends, that you can do this and it's
Mhm.
very viable. It's
Mhm.
possible. And truly, it makes you a different person, a better person, and more time and capacity to breathe, take care of yourself, and
Mhm.
love yourself.
Mhm.
You're missing
Absolutely.
out.
It is giving when you learn, and I know that there are a lot of people out there that have had things that happened to them in their childhood that they had no control over, and they
Yeah,
were powerless in the situations. And you look
agreed.
back and you're like, how do I forgive somebody that did this to me when I was 8 years old, or I was 10 years old? And I certainly do not want to diminish anybody's circumstances, events, what has happened to them. What I'm asking the world to do is to come to peace with it. And it's so hard, even me saying it. It's like, how do you tell an 8-year-old to
Yeah,
come
where do you start with the peace? Mhm.
right? But you're really doing it for you, that at 8 years old, they have that power over you, and you don't want them to have that power over you in this stage of your life.
Correct.
And when we can do the work to learn how to forgive ourselves and others, we we are the vehicle of courage for
Mhm.
others to be able to have the same courage we did to let go and to
Right.
forget. I
Right.
really believe that.
And I think that's fair. I absolutely believe that. And I think even in your story, when you were writing the letters to
Mhm.
those people that you wanted to forgive yourself for, I think that's a great way to start also. Put it down. You don't have to really go to confront that person. It's for yourself. If you
Mhm.
put that down in ink, you might have a ceremony of burning it, putting
Yeah.
it away, burying it. I don't know. But when you know those words on that paper is true to you, and you know you're going to put that over there and you're okay with it, again, everybody's situation is different. Everybody's situation is deeper or newer or older or whatever the case may be. But definitely identifying it as part of it, where it sits with you and what capacity is it taking over from you, and
Mhm.
how can you release that or try to release that,
Mhm.
and then take in your own space, right?
I like the way you framed it, where you're in this moment where you're sharing with the audience. Only you know, basically, don't sugarcoat what you're really feeling as you're writing it on paper. Let
Right.
it be real for you. Nobody else has the right to tell you how to feel about your situation. Let it
Exactly.
surface organically, real, raw. Sometimes it's messy, sometimes it's
Yeah,
ugly, but let it come up so that that forgiveness and healing process can really start to take root in your life.
I exactly agree.
So we got 2 minutes left on the show. That was quick.
Wow, I know. Wow. It's always
um,
great with Tanya. It
it
is. The time flies by, trust me.
really does. It really was something like I looked at the time and I was like, oh, we got 2 minutes.
Wow.
Any last minute, last little nugget you got under your sleeve for us?
Um, I just think the universe is out there, energy's out there. What you put out is what you get back. And when you take time for yourself to identify what you're putting out, be aware of when things come. Be
Mhm.
aware, let them come, receive them, as Tanya always tells me. Be willing to receive
Yes.
as much as you're willing to give, because it's easier to give.
Mhm.
And but forgiving is one of the hardest things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we celebrate all of you out there that are doing this work, that are working on forgiving. We encourage you to come to that place for you. And I'm going to say on that note, if you are looking to have the opportunity to work for forgiveness, I want to work with you. Visit thetanyaexperience.com. I thank each and every one of you for tuning in tonight and watching the episode on how Tamara set herself free through forgiveness. Tamara, thank you very much for being open and transparent and being willing to share your story on globally around the world on how you set yourself free. So thank you for your honesty, your trusting me, and your authenticity. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So on that note, good night, everybody, and we will talk to you soon.
Okay.
Good night.
Night.